It started with something so small that I almost feel stupid for even noticing it. At first, it was just a habit. My girlfriend never let me touch her phone. Not in an obvious, dramatic way, she didn't snatch it out of my hands or accuse me of anything. It was more subtle than that. If I reached for it to check the time, she'd casually say, "I got it." If I joked about scrolling through her photos, she'd laugh and change the subject. And honestly, I respected that. Everyone deserves privacy. I wasn't the jealous type and I didn't want to become that guy who questions everything, so I ignored it. For a while. But then the small things started adding up. She would always tilt her screen away when I walked into the room, not aggressively, just enough so I couldn't see. If I sat next to her on the couch, she'd lock her phone within seconds, even if she was in the middle of typing. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Then I started noticing the patterns. It wasn't random. It was consistent. Almost like she was aware of exactly when I might look. There was one thing in particular that stood out more than anything else. There was a specific part of her phone she never opened around me. Not once. It wasn't her messages, I'd seen those pop up before. It wasn't her camera roll, she'd shown me pictures before. It wasn't social media either. This was different. I didn't even know exactly what it was, but I knew it existed. I'd catch a glimpse of a certain screen or a certain icon, and the moment I got close, she'd swipe away instantly. Like it wasn't meant for me to see. That's when the feeling started. That quiet, uncomfortable thought in the back of my mind. Something's off. I tried to ignore it. I really did. Because once you start thinking like that, everything becomes suspicious. Every notification, every smile at a screen, every moment of silence starts to feel like it means something. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to ruin what we had over something I couldn't even prove. So I told myself I was overthinking. Until one night. We were sitting together watching a movie, nothing special, just a normal evening. She was next to me, scrolling on her phone like usual. Then she got a notification. I didn't see the message, but I saw her reaction. It was quick, almost too quick. Her expression changed for just a second, just enough for me to catch it, not panic exactly, but something close, like she wasn't expecting that message, like it mattered more than it should have. She immediately locked her phone, put it face down, and didn't touch it again for the rest of the movie. I didn't say anything, but that moment stayed with me. After that, it got harder to ignore. She started taking her phone everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Even to the bathroom. Even if she was just getting up for a few seconds. If her phone was charging across the room, she'd unplug it and take it with her. At night, she'd keep it under her pillow or right next to her, screen facing down. It wasn't normal. And deep down, I knew it. I just didn't want to admit it yet. A few days later, I tried to bring it up. Casually. We were having dinner, just talking, and I said something like, "You're really protective of your phone." She laughed. Not nervously, not defensively. Just dismissed it. "You're overthinking," she said. "I just like my privacy." And that should have been enough. That should have ended it. But it didn't. Because it didn't explain everything. It didn't explain the way she angled her screen. It didn't explain that one hidden part she never opened. It didn't explain that look on her face when she got that notification. And the worst part, I started noticing more. Little things. She began going out more often, said she was meeting friends, coworkers, people I'd heard of but never actually met. Sometimes she'd be gone for hours, and when she came back, she'd seem distant. Not guilty. Just distracted. Like her mind was somewhere else. And her phone was always in her hand. Always. There was one moment I can't forget. We were in the car together driving somewhere and her phone connected to the Bluetooth automatically. For a split second, I saw a contact name flash on the screen. It wasn't a real name. It was something random, something meaningless. At least it looked meaningless. But the way she reacted told me it was. She quickly disconnected it, too quickly. And said nothing. I didn't ask. I think part of me was afraid of the answer. Because at that point, it wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was a feeling. That something was being hidden from me. Something important. After that, I started paying more attention. Not actively searching. Just noticing. The way she smiled at her phone sometimes. The way she'd type quickly, then delete everything if I got close. The way she'd lock her screen even if I was across the room. And that one section of her phone. Still completely off limits. It was like a locked door in plain sight. And I didn't have the key. I kept telling myself I wouldn't check. No matter what. Because once you cross that line, there's no going back. You either find nothing and feel guilty. Or you find something and everything changes. I wasn't ready for either. So I waited. I watched. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head. Until the morning everything changed. It was a normal day. Nothing unusual. She was getting ready for work, rushing like she always did when she woke up late, grabbing her bag, looking for her keys, half listening to me as I said goodbye. Then she left. The door closed. And for a moment everything was quiet. I went back to the kitchen. And that's when I saw it. Her phone. Sitting on the table. For the first time she forgot it. I just stood there staring at it. Not moving. Because in that moment I knew. This wasn't just a coincidence. This was a chance. And I had a choice to make. I stood there for a few seconds, just staring at her phone on the table. It felt wrong. Like I was about to cross a line I couldn't uncross. Part of me wanted to walk away, pretend I never saw it, and keep things the way they were. But another part of me, the part that had been noticing everything for weeks, knew this might be the only time I'd ever get answers. My heart was already beating faster. I told myself I'd just move it, put it somewhere safe, that was it. But I didn't. I picked it up. The screen lit up instantly. And for a second I froze. It wasn't locked. I don't know if she forgot or if she was just in a rush, but somehow it was open. That made it worse. Because now it wasn't about breaking in. It was about choosing to look. I hesitated. Then I remembered everything. The way she hid her screen, the strange notifications, the late nights, that one hidden section she never opened around me. Without thinking too much, I unlocked it fully and went straight to the place I had in my mind. That part of her phone. The one she always kept away from me. At first I didn't see anything unusual. Just normal apps. Messages, photos, social media. For a moment I actually felt stupid. Like maybe I had imagined everything. But then I slowed down. Looked closer. And that's when I noticed it. An app I had never seen her use before. It didn't stand out at first glance. The icon was simple, almost generic, something you wouldn't question unless you were really paying attention. But I knew. This was it. I tapped on it. And immediately a password screen appeared. Not her usual one. A completely different lock. My chest tightened. She had a separate app with a separate password. There was no reason for that. Not a normal one. I tried a few combinations. Her birthday mined simple patterns. Nothing worked. Each failed attempt made me more aware of what I was doing. This wasn't curiosity anymore. This was crossing into something else. I almost stopped. I almost put the phone back and walked away. But then something caught my eye. At the top of the screen, just for a split second, a notification banner appeared. It was quick. So quick I almost missed it. But I saw enough. Just a few words. Can't wait to see you again, Red Heart. I felt it in my stomach immediately. That drop. That heavy sinking feeling you can't ignore. I didn't need the full message. I didn't need context. Those words were enough. I stared at the screen, hoping I had misread it. Hoping there was some other explanation. But deep down I already knew. My hands felt cold. I tried to think logically. Maybe it was an old message. Maybe it was a friend joking. Maybe. But none of it made sense. Because of everything else. All the small things I had been noticing. All the patterns. All the moments that didn't feel right. They all started connecting. One by one. And suddenly the picture became clear. I went back to the home screen. Opened her messages. Scrolled carefully. Nothing obvious. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Like it had been cleaned. That made it worse. Then I remembered something. That contact in the car. The one with the strange name. I searched for it. It took a minute. But I found it. And when I opened the chat, my heart stopped. It wasn't saved as a name. It was saved as something random. Something that wouldn't raise suspicion. But the messages were real. Not many. Just enough. Short conversations. Careful wording. Like they both knew not to say too much. But there was no doubt. No room for misunderstanding. This wasn't a friend. This wasn't harmless. I scrolled a little more. Every message felt heavier than the last. Every line confirmed what I didn't want to believe. And the worst part wasn't even what they were saying. It was how normal it all seemed to her. Like this was just part of her life. Something she had already accepted. I locked the phone. Slowly. Carefully. Placed it back exactly where I found it. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to stay calm. Because in that moment, I realized something. She didn't know that I knew. And that gave me control. For the first time since all of this started, I wasn't in the dark anymore. I sat down. Tried to process everything. Tried to make sense of it. But my mind kept going back to one question. How long? How long had this been happening right in front of me? All those times she smiled at her phone. All those times she said she was tired. All those times she went out and came back distant. It wasn't random. None of it was. I felt angry. But more than that, I felt calm. And that scared me. Because I wasn't reacting the way I thought I would. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't breaking anything. I was thinking. Planning. I looked at the door, expecting her to walk in any second. But she didn't. It was still quiet. Too quiet. I had time. And instead of confronting her, I made a decision. I was going to wait. I wanted to see how far this went. How far she was willing to lie. So when she came home later that day, I acted normal. Exactly the same. I smiled. I asked her how her day was. I listened to her talk about work, about random things, about everything except the truth. And she looked right at me. Like nothing had happened. Like she wasn't hiding anything. Like I didn't already know. That was the hardest part. Watching her pretend. And realizing how easy it was for her. That night she picked up her phone again. Turned the screen away like always. Typed something. Smiled slightly. And in that moment, everything felt different. Because now I could see it. Clearly. No more doubt. No more confusion. Just the truth. And I still said nothing. Because I wasn't done yet. Because something told me. What I had seen that morning was only the beginning. And whatever came next was going to be worse.